Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It is time for Thursday Night Football. That's right. Thursday Night Football returns to Morgantown, West Virginia. Baylor Bears coming up Thursday night under the lights, Milan Puskar Stadium. And this is Three Guys Before the Game with our complete comprehensive preview. It's episode number 408 on this program. We will bust into some of the analytics in this game. What are the keys in this game? We will let you know. Plus, Neil Brown's comments about this one, held his weekly press conference Monday at noon. We'll have some of those for you. And, of course, one of the most celebrated items on this podcast, and that would be listener text questions and comments. Show continues to grow, and we certainly do appreciate that. Our numbers have reached an all-time high. What do they call that in the business world? Critical mass. Have we reached critical mass? We're rolling.
Critical mass.
We're rolling. So thanks, everybody.
Look at Brad's microphone.
Did it die again, dude?
No, it just sails away.
That's not a precursor to the week.
That's
so
like
you know
that's
what?
like
It just gets away from.
So what do you have to do?
Paranormal activity.
So now what? Do you have to hold it the whole show?
I'm gonna have to hold it.
Wait a minute.
Well, that's really professional.
There we go. Just...
Wait.
There we go. It's a good episode. This would be a great episode.
Hey, do this. Take the other one. No,
We're all right. Let's just go. We're already recording. Let's go. We'll figure it out.
All right.
You know, sometimes the game plan goes out the window in the first series, and you got to adjust. How good can you be on the fly? Let's go.
You're going to cramp up.
Well, maybe.
You're
We'll
gonna
play.
cramp up
Give me
on that.
the ball. Kurtzville, give me the ball. Let's go.
Give him the ball. Things change. Put Tavon Austin in the backfield.
Very good. A good Tavon Austin reference. You know, you could be just like Tavon. You've never done a show holding the microphone the whole show. You could become one of the greatest microphone holding hosts in podcast history.
Might be the greatest show we've ever done.
And again, it might not be. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Music's Still Here. Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. That's Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. Why is it crazy?
Set him off. This is set him off. He can't handle this. I know he wants to pivot, but I think it's really bothering him.
Why don't you just grab the other microphone?
Guys, we're already going. Just keep going.
Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by Burdette Camping Center, the only warranty-forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit Burdette Camping on their site at burdettecamping.com. That's burdettecamping.com. Major controversy with the promotion they ran last week. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. And we can do nothing freaking easy on this show. You can't get your microphone without it turning into a weather vane.
Right.
We try to run a promotion, really super simple rules on the Burdette Camping promotion.
What happened?
That thing goes to heck in a handbasket. I'll tell you more about that later when we get into listener text. That thing goes crazy. And I'm sitting there this morning going over the texts, and I'm going to myself, number one, why does this always happen? And then why am I the guy that's doing the promotion? Like, why am I sitting here, trying to find out that? What?
Because you're the guy, because you're the mover and the shaker. You're the guy that makes stuff happen. It's your show. I mean, we are just, understand this, it's your show. We're just participating in it.
Hoppy, the name of the show is Three Guys. It's not my show. It's not one guy plus two clowns, although at times that's what it is, but it's three guys. And Hoppy, the show will only last until there's three guys. When there's one guy gone, we're not.
Well, but you're the host.
Yeah, but does that make me do the promotions? You just put Jinglehammer Smith, the producer, and he's now a full-time guy. Could you think he might be able to take care of the promotion?
Well, that's a good idea. You should put that on him.
Thank you.
You didn't assign it to him, but you could.
No.
When you announced it last week, it sounded pretty straightforward.
So
frankly.
simple.
It sounded that way.
So simple. We forgot one codicil to the Faber College Constitution that we didn't factor in. All right.
I didn't know it was vest day either.
Do you own any vests, Hoppy?
No.
Well, then you couldn't have played even if you wanted to. Where'd you get that vest, Brad?
State Pride line. Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see.
Yeah.
The moving microphone's in my way, so you probably can't see it on the broadcast.
That's where I got mine, too. Daniels. All right, jumping into Baylor here real quick. So both teams were off this weekend, and now we've got Thursday night football here. I watched a bunch of Big 12 football over the weekend, and I just kind of go like, for the first time in 11 years, the league is balanced more so than ever before. Like, everyone is solid.
Except for that dog, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, that was the craziest crazy of all crazies,
Wow.
right? How about that one?
Brad and I were texting. I said, I would like both teams to lose, but since they can't, I'd like to see one get destroyed. So that was fine.
Well, they did.
I'll go with that.
We won't go over this now because it's not an Oklahoma Sooners podcast, but Venables is off to a start that rivals the absolute worst in college football when it's compared to the expectations of your betting line and how far you're missing against the spread. You know, Vegas, I mean, they miss. Everybody misses, but they're around it more often than not. Oklahoma and this Brent Venables team is so far off of the expected line, and Vegas can't catch up to it.
Yeah.
They're way worse than you're thinking each week.
Can't figure them out.
Missed it by 42.
Historically bad. I mean, in the top 4 or 5 worst coaching starts or worst coaching performances during a season in college football history.
I was on a tractor mowing grass on Saturday. I was on a lawn tractor.
A lawn tractor. That's different than a tractor.
Yeah, it wasn't like your tractor growing up, spreading out the
I don't know why you have to tractor shame. I mean, what's it matter? The guy's out there trying to do some hard work.
Well,
When's the last time you were on a tractor?
That's been a while. Fair.
Okay, so, I mean, he's been on a tractor before you, regardless of size.
Well, it was a little tractor.
Have you been on a little tractor recently?
Haven't been on anything.
Thank you.
It's a lawn tractor, pretty good horsepower. I was flying around there pretty good, but
Just
I was listening.
Your mic.
I was listening. The reason I bring it up, I was listening to the. I told you to change the microphone.
Don't make it harder.
Well, yeah, you're making it harder. Take the other mic.
I'm not making it harder. I just showed up trying to do a podcast. My role is to speak.
The paranormal activity.
Thought that was my role.
Occurring in the studio.
Now I've got to fix things in the studio as well.
Do you have a magnet in your pocket?
Okay, go ahead. It's set.
You have an announcer who died.
A couple false starts on the microphone.
So I'm listening to the game. I'm listening to the Texas feed of the broadcast on Saturday.
Oh, my.
But what was weird, Craig Way, that's a great broadcast.
Yeah, it is. It really
they
is good,
sound great. But because of the problems that they've had against Oklahoma in the past, like, they just refuse.
They were never comfortable.
They refuse to celebrate. They just go like, well, you remember last year we have to. well, it's just kind of like
You're up 49, but
like,
what?
You know, like when you're doing one and you want to you want to crack somebody,
they just couldn't get there.
But you just couldn't say these guys just suck today, but he couldn't do it because he didn't want it to come back on him.
You know, the league's national perception has changed quite a bit here in these first 5 weeks of the season. There are many that are saying this is one of the more fun leagues to watch because why?
Yeah.
You turn on a game. Well, what's the automatic there? You don't know. And I agree with you. This is as balanced as it's ever been, and mostly that's because the top has come down and the bottom has come up. So you're even more squeezed than normal. But the other part of this is too the other side to remember. The top has come down. There isn't any elite team here. There isn't any team without flaws.
Correct.
Every one of these that you go down, I'm including West Virginia in that, has significant and major flaws. That's why this is going to continue to be a week-to-week type of situation here.
Yeah, for example, Texas Tech and Oklahoma State in Stillwater. So you flip that on Saturday, you go like, Oklahoma State's Oklahoma State. They're going to have, but here's Texas Tech. Just swinging and swinging and swinging the whole game long, and they finally just kind of, got pushed out there a little bit. But that just shows you and also scares you a little bit as well because West Virginia's got to go to Texas Tech. By the way, that game time has been announced 3 p.m. Eastern, which would be the 2 p.m. Central time in Lubbock, a week from this coming Saturday. You just never know what you have. You just really, truly never know what you have. One thing I do know is that if you hook up with Comex Business Systems, you know that you have 24/7 remote monitoring. You know that you have someone from here in West Virginia that has your networks back so that you cannot become that next victim. We talked about this on the last episode. A lot of businesses don't turn it in when their data has been infiltrated because it's an embarrassment. So if you've got concerns as to whether or not you're safe enough, trust me, go to Comex Business Systems. Not only are they your full-service Konica Minolta dealer, but they will manage your IT, manage your voice and your phone services as well. Whatever you need, 24/7 remote monitoring, peace of mind. 10-time elite dealer by ENX Magazine, and no other dealer in West Virginia has ever received this award. Neil Brown was at the podium and earlier today, and he broke down what he sees of this Baylor team, and there's a lot of similarities to this squad, to the one that won the league in a huge, massive surprise a year ago. Here's Neil Brown on what makes Baylor's defense so hard to scheme against.
They got really good answers, and it goes back to they can play the box one down. If you're an 11 personnel, most people are trying to get the seventh hat down into the box, where you got the defense has a numerical advantage. And when they do that, you leave some guys in some one-on-one coverage. They're good enough with their front six. So when you're an 11, they can play a six-man box and still control the run game, and therefore you don't have any one-on-ones in the pass game. For this year, the way they've been successful is playing a man down in the box and still be able to control the run game. The other piece they do a really nice job of, and both of these coaches have done this for a long time, is on third down, they scheme protections as well as anybody. Put you in some conflicts, and those are new week to week. So it's not something you can sit there and game plan for, because they're going to mix it up week to week.
All right. So the numbers on that are really super interesting. Think about this. They run a six-man box, right? 11 on the field at the same time. So if you can be confident enough to stop the run with 6, that leaves you 5 in the back half of the defense. So that ultimately is the storyline of this game. It takes some onions to just keep consistently running a 6-man box, going like, oh, what do you want to do? You want to put it on? That's fine. We're going to stop your run. And so that's the huge challenge in this game. And there's one cat in particular that Neil spent an extensive amount of time talking about. And if you've seen Baylor play at all this season, you know of who I speak. Defensive lineman by the name of Siaki Apuika. And he is just an absolutely massive human being. 6'4". We were talking last game against Texas that they had 2 340-pound linemen. 343 schmorty. My boy is 3'5'8", 358 pounds. Think about his size. He's 6'4", 358. He takes 2 people. So they can, as a result, they're taking 2 of your offensive linemen on one guy, just a massive dude. Sometimes they'll play right over the top of the center. So Zach Frazier, like, hello. Or, he'll engage with a guard and a center, and so he's a massive dude. So it leads to some massive challenges there.
What do they do, a 3-3 stack?
No.
They're like a 4-2?
I think they're odd front.
4 front.
4 front.
4, but he said they'll morph into a 3 like Texas did to West Virginia.
Yeah.
They can.
This dude's a bad boy.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big guy, man. He's a big guy.
Well, run a lot of snaps, wear him down.
Well, he played, and he's like, so a year ago they had to be judicious in how they used him in and out, because he would get tired. Now he's playing more and more snaps. So that's a big boy concern. Neil also wanted to talk specifically about that matchup, Zach Frazier and the big guy. What's he say?
My assumption is, and I think it's a pretty fair assumption, they probably have a lot of respect for the way Zach plays. It's strength on strength. It's a little bit of a chess match there, and I think it's probably a challenge for Zach, just like it's a challenge for him, because they're well aware that our center's a good player too. We're able to do some things in the run game because of his ability that other teams can't. He man blocks a lot of things that other people don't. So it's a matchup of strength on strength.
Yeah, when I think of those two, I don't think of chess. I think of sumo wrestling.
Yeah, it'd be more sumo
than
it would be chess. Because normally those chess players aren't real big.
I mean, I understand the strategery he's talking about, but
right.
You're talking about a big guy on a big guy.
Yeah,
a really big guy on a big guy.
Yeah. Jumping on to the other side, obviously West Virginia will be without C.J. Donaldson. That really was the only injury that Neil confirmed. That and Charles Woods. He did have good news on Charles Woods, hoping to have him back by next week.
Oh.
Perfect world.
That would help.
A lot.
About 5 zillion times. Yeah, that would help. But he did talk about playing without C.J. Donaldson. So now what with him out of the backfield mix?
From a situational standpoint, it changes, like as far as how we're going to approach the running back rotation. That's probably the biggest thing, because after game one, where we were like, okay, kid's a player, so we started using him situationally, and really his role was growing. He wasn't playing as well as he had against Texas. I think that was a little bit of fatigue. Not that we wanted to create this break for him by any means, but I do think he'll come back even stronger. His body will feel better overall due to the time off, but it'll be a factor situationally for sure.
Yeah, kind of interesting thought when you think about it. He was getting toward the middle point of the season. He was playing in a position he had never played before, and getting hit more so than ever before. And so, yeah, a little bit of, body wear and not what you want by any stretch, but physically, as he clears this concussion, the rest of his body, should get a little bit more healed up, so to speak. One last thing from Neil. We talked a lot about what they did last week, trying to find faces in that defensive backfield. Like anybody else that can help?
Rashad Ajayi probably played the best in the back end against Texas. He got hurt there early in the second quarter. Aubrey Burks is, everybody remembers the dropped interception, but he's a true sophomore, but he only played in 6 games last year because he got surgery and had to miss the rest of it. So he's a redshirt freshman as far as playing. He's continuing to get better, and I think he has a high ceiling. I think he'll continue to grow as we go through the year. I thought Andrew Wilson-Lamp, that was the best football he's played against Texas, and we continue to grow his role. I think he's somebody, the more he plays, the better he's going to be. Other than that, the pieces are the pieces. Jalen Shelton's a guy that got healthy. We're going to give him some opportunities this week. But other than that, we just got to get the guys that we have better. There's not going to be a whole lot of moving pieces right now.
Yeah. Jalen Shelton is a name that came up a couple of times from Neil, so maybe you'll see him start to emerge a little bit. He also gave shout-outs to Dylan Ray, John Ray's son, not necessarily for right now because you're pretty settled in there right now, but down the road he thinks he's going to become a factor. Also gave some love to Martinsburg's Hudson Clement. Thinks he's got the opportunity to have a real nice career. Mentioned Nico Marchiol really improving a lot, looked good last week when they were playing a lot of the scrimmage stuff with the younger guys. I saw Nico this morning.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, how much you weighing now? And he said 220.
Really?
I said, what'd you come in at? He said 195.
Wow.
He put 25 on and looks good. Looks solid. Looks really solid. So, yeah, he put 25 pounds on.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's those are a few of the other notes that I took from the old deal there. Speed. Got some speed dudes on Baylor that can go. Monray Baldwin. Fast.
But, Tony,
Did you do some preparation? You have some notes over there on your legal pad there, Skippy?
You can read that or not.
Look at that work.
What stood out to me, though, when you start to look at this Baylor team is who's not there. I mean, they lost a lot of guys off that team, a lot of guys. They had 7 guys taken in the draft. 5 stayed. 5 stuck. 5 players off a college team, Brad, that made it on NFL teams.
Well, why'd they win the league last year?
Because they had guys.
Correct.
Drew Estrada, Tyquan Thornton, still catching passes against West Virginia. Together they caught 12 passes against West Virginia last year. They both made it in the show. Remember Jalen Petrie, the corner? Starting for the Houston Texans. Terrell Bernard, the linebacker. Really He's good. With the Bills. I mean, so they have guys that stuck with NFL teams. So they lost a lot of guys, including a lot of guys who were leaders. And if you look at what the coaches are saying out of Waco, they don't think they have that. They've replaced that leadership quality that they had on last year's team. I mean, that's to be expected when you lose that many guys who are good enough to play in the NFL. So they're saying, who's going to be a leader? We're not sure about leadership and maturity and those kinds of things. So I think they're not, they're only a 3-point favorite. I know West Virginia gets some points from being home, but Brad, this is not last year's Baylor team.
It's not
not even close.
No, it's not at all. In fact, that's why I was surprised they were picked as the league's top choice. Now, I think you're seeing why that came in. Absent of a clear-cut winner, you default to last year's champion, even though they lost a lot. But I think they're absolutely trying to find themselves here. And new quarterback.
Yeah.
Gary Bohannon, who was outstanding against West Virginia, got beat out. He didn't just leave. He got beat out. And credit Aranda, did it soon enough so that the young man could transfer to another institution, goes down to USF with former Mountaineer assistant Travis Trickett, but new quarterback in there as well. Now, he's played well, Blake Shapen. He's played pretty well. But, yeah, this is a Baylor team trying to find itself. There's no question.
I mean, the running backs from last year are gone. They had 2 guys that ran last year. One guy, Smith, ran for like 1,600 yards or something. I mean, they had great running backs. So they're trying to figure out at running back. They have Craig Williams, who's been there forever, but he's been hurt some. Now they're playing the freshman, Richard
Reese, who just signed an NIL with Reese Cup, one of about a handful of players
12.
in the 12 players that had the last name of Reese Hoppy that signed NIL deals across the country. Love that.
That's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not downplaying what Baylor is. I'm just saying that they're sorting themselves out too. And I don't look at this team and think, oh my gosh, this is a team where West Virginia can't compete. West Virginia has no chance. I think if West Virginia eliminates some of those mistakes and plays like they played at Virginia Tech, that they have a great chance, if not a better chance, of winning this game.
Well, this is going to tell you a little bit about this West Virginia team too. Given how they looked against Texas, what's their bounce back ability here?
Right.
You're at home. You should have a nice crowd. It's Baylor coming in trying to figure out itself, as you just outlined right there. So, what's West Virginia have in its tank after getting absolutely big boyed last year in Waco?
Yes.
That's the other part there. Yes, they lost a lot of guys from that team, but Tony, you weren't even in that game for a minute last year. Neil referenced that a bunch in the press conference today, talking about just the physicality. He kept saying what I took away from last year was the physicality. So I think the main question, before we get into numbers, I've got some numbers here we'll look at. I think you start there. How much further back to the pack has Baylor come in terms of that physicality, and how much has West Virginia grown? Because if you take the gap the way these two teams played last year, it's a Grand Canyon-sized gap.
Well, it was from last year, but again, I think that's just, as I said, this is not the same Baylor team. They haven't won on the road yet. Okay.
Well, they did. They beat Iowa State on the road.
Oh, okay. They won. Okay.
Lost to BYU on the road.
Lost to BYU on the road.
Yeah.
They talked this week about coming into this environment, worried about this environment. So this is, I think this is kind of set up for you, frankly.
Massive, all capital letters. That'd be M-A-S, another S, I-V, and an E, all capital letters. Massively important game for West Virginia. Just huge. Because for so many different reasons, record-wise, mentally-wise, huge game. You get this one, and you go, okay, I can breathe. You don't get this one, and then you go, I'm going to Lubbock, where they beat Texas. And you're going to have yourself get ready. So this goes without saying.
Well, for a team and program trying to find wins, you've got to protect your home field. So, I mean, I know that's cliche, but Neil Brown's teams have played significantly better at home than on the road. This program's in need of a win. It just has to win. And these are going to be these opportunities. There won't be a single matchup we do the rest of the year where it's definitively West Virginia. Unless we're getting somebody with a significant injury at the quarterback position, we're going to come into every one of these games building a case for a team that right now is looking up at a bunch of other teams across this balanced Big 12. So you've got to handle your business at home. So I'm with you, Tony. This is a huge game.
And I don't think Baylor hasn't won here, right?
Not
ever.
0-5.
Right. So Baylor hasn't won here too. So now you've gotten whipped big time out there, but Baylor has not won at Milan Puskar Stadium. And you got a Thursday night game. Crowd should be into it, which is, don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but give these fans a reason to be there early. Give these fans a reason to stay engaged in the game. Don't give you Texas, because people will flood out of there.
Wow. 63 degrees the high on Thursday, nighttime low.
Right.
47. Chance of rain 60%.
Oh, okay.
It's early in the week. May change.
Yeah, when's the rain, though? Is the rain of the day or is the rain at night? Don't know, but yeah, 'tis that season. Senator, talked to a neighbor of yours. Said a lot of smoke coming out of your fireplace chimney thing there this week. Were you working extra hard on that computer to get some analytics?
I've got a couple categories we need to look at.
So you were working harder than normal? You doubled up?
It's every week. My preparation doesn't change. Process is always the process. Not about results, just process. don't care if you won or lost last week. The process stays the same
You
for
stay
next week.
Right on. Yeah, sure. What's the computer say?
So let's do it like we did last week. I got 3 categories here I want to look at. These were written before the Neil Brown press conference, interestingly enough. The first one, it's an obvious one. It's what he addressed the whole time. Can you run it on this Baylor team? And that's the big question. So here's some numbers. Baylor has a 90.7 run defense grade on PFF, best in the Big 12. Add in a top 3 Big 12 grade in tackling and in coverage.
Ooh, okay.
So there's not an obvious area that you can attack against this Baylor defense. They've held 10 teams in the last 2 years under 100 yards rushing. So that's about, 10 out of 17. You're close to 60% of the time they hold you under 100 yards on the ground. Now, they're going to go against a West Virginia run blocking unit that's second in the Big 12 in terms of PFF grade. So you have a little strength on strength. I said last week in our wrap-up show, that's the area that surprised me most about West Virginia, Texas. Not that you lost, but the fact that up front you couldn't do some things that you wanted, both in pass pro and in the run game. So does that change this week? We outlined how difficult it is to run against Baylor and the reasons why. You better figure out a way to do it enough that you can throw the football on them. You're going to have to do something. If they're allowed to stay in that 6-person box and dictate to you what you're going to do, ball game, you're in some trouble, right? It's obvious. You've got to make them do something different. It starts up front with West Virginia. And a run team or a rush offense that averages 186 yards per game. West Virginia's been very good on the ground. Wasn't against Texas. Better figure it out. The challenge, you're down your most effective running back too. It doesn't help you. But that's an area to watch right away. What kind of push does this West Virginia offensive line get up front against a Baylor defense that statistically has been the best in the Big 12? That's number one.
I would agree wholeheartedly. And, there just comes a time. There's a coming of age, right? The build has been on this offensive line for 4 years. You've been building on this offensive line for 4 years. It's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. I think we're at that point. It's either going to happen. You're either going to be able to run the ball against the big boys, or it's just never going to happen for this particular assemblage of personnel. Now is that time. You run the ball or you won't run the ball. As simple as that sounds, you're at home. The lights are on. Are you going to come off the ball and run the ball?
And this is so, and I'm looking at this from a standpoint. I'm not saying you've got to run for 3 bills on these guys.
No.
This just has to be enough that you can then, I think, put the ball in the hands of JT and the receivers. So I didn't use that as a key because we'll talk about that all week. But that's the other part. I mean, this team's going to have to find wins via JT Daniels, the wide receivers, and good pass protection up front. The running game has to be there enough so that you can make Baylor do something it doesn't want to do. But you're going to have to put the ball in the hands of your best players, and that's clearly Daniels, and these receivers are going to just have to get better with the drops. It's as simple as that. So run it effectively enough to help your pass game. That's what I'm looking for. Huh?
$1.25?
Sometimes it's more about just how it looks. I don't know about the yard. Yeah, if you could get 125, 150, I think you're cooking.
So
if you're one of those 10 out of 17 that's been held under 100, you've got significant problems. That doesn't mean you can't win. And I'll get to an example where they were beaten doing some of these things that the team did not capitalize on 2 of these categories and still found a way to win, which I think speaks to you, Hoppy, that this isn't an invincible Baylor opponent like maybe it was last year.
In fact, the statistics are very similar, Tom,
Sure.
as you would say. Points per game, West Virginia 38, Baylor 37. Rushing, Brad, you talked about. Baylor is 5th at 187. West Virginia is 6th at 186. Almost exactly the same. Passing, West Virginia 279, Baylor 259. Sacks, neither team's getting any sacks to speak of. Baylor has 10, West Virginia has 11. So, I mean, the stats like that, they're very similar statistically.
So, with that being said, your negative yardage plays are huge. TFLs, and obviously, as you said, sacks. Blake Shapen gets rid of the ball very quickly. It's going to be difficult to sack him. But you, on your other side, you can't take a bunch of TFLs. Cannot do that. And I don't know the rest of your categories, but special teams, these guys are always really good in returns, but go ahead.
Yeah, it also got them beat, though. Oklahoma State took a kickoff return to the house that cost them a game. So they're vulnerable on that side as well if you can do anything. I know we haven't seen much evidence of that from West Virginia, but that's available. All right, 2 more categories. The second one's really, really short and simple. It's just 3rd down conversions, and it's from West Virginia's offensive side. If you want to keep things going offensively, what do you have to do, Hoppy?
You got to make third down.
Got to convert on third down. This is good on good. West Virginia's offense is 19th nationally in third down conversions, going against a Baylor defense that is 46th. So who wins that internal game within the game? Can you convert on third down and keep marching down the field? That's been West Virginia's MO. We talked last week in our game day coverage, West Virginia leads the country in drives that produce a first down. They also lead the country in drives that don't go for negative or 0 yards. So this is a team that moves the chains, has throughout the season. Can you do that against a very good Baylor third down defense? That's number 2. Here's number 3. Let's examine schedules, because we've still got a couple of games to look at schedule strength, and does that play a factor into this? As you get into November, it won't, because you're starting to balance out this Big 12 schedule. But I'm going to use EPA, which stands for expected points added. And you can get that on each play. It's just basically a statistical measure of how successful a play is. These teams, to your point there, using traditional statistics, are super close.
You just stat shamed him. You just basically said to him, "Oh, Hoppy, I know you got the generic package. You buy the white box with the black label, macaroni and cheese. Me, I use Kraft." That's basically what you did to him.
It's untrue.
Well, you did do that.
There's a place in the world for both. I was just simply pointing at his were more of the traditional stats.
But you recognize that he's using inferior numbers.
His numbers are fine. They're numbers that.
But you took a shot at it.
I think that's unfair. It's an unfair categorization.
Everyone knows you got the premium package.
Wasn't the intent? And I don't think it landed that way until you made it that way.
I feel like, I know Brad has the premium stats. I feel like I find things that what I do best, which is the obvious, and then Brad sort of digs down and has deeper stats. I think both have value, Tony.
So you walk outside and say, "Hey, it's noon. It's light outside," and he comes in and explains why the sun is lined up.
You're trying to start. I know what you're trying to do, and actually, Brad and I will argue about many things. I don't think you got anything there.
No, that's fine.
Brad?
That's the way you want to look
Brad,
at it.
go ahead. I want to hear your stats.
So it's as you would expect. West Virginia's got a slightly better offense in terms of ratings or grades or the EPA, and Baylor's got a slightly better defense. And that won't surprise you, right? I mean, so how's West Virginia going to have to win games? Offense. It's going to have to score points. And then defensively, you're going to have to come back, and they haven't created turnovers well. So that'd be great if they could, but you're going to have to look for, can you get a couple key third down stops yourself and just get off the field, and then this offense is going to have to be good.
And you're -2 in turnovers. They're even.
Yeah.
Don't turn the ball over.
So let's look at strength of schedule so far. Let's look at the Baylor 3 wins. Baylor's 3-2 on the season, right? Everybody makes a big deal about record and wins and fire the coach, fire this coach, do this, do that. Baylor's 3 wins.
Haven't played anybody.
Albany, Texas State, and an Iowa State team that's 0-3 in conference play.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia, if I go back and use EPA again, and this is the stuff that makes people crazy when the playoff committee does this, you want to talk about good losses? 2 of West Virginia's 3 losses have been to 2 of the top 8 teams in college football through the first 6 weeks when it comes to EPA. EPA, both sides of the ball, offense and defense.
Texas and Kansas?
2 of the top 8. Yeah, Texas and Kansas are 2 of the top 8 teams here. Now, granted, West Virginia's wins aren't in a whole lot different category than Baylor's, but Baylor's 2 games against difficult opponents, they've lost to BYU and to Oklahoma State. So, again, those are just, I think you actually said it well. I just reiterated what we said the obvious was, that this is a different Baylor team. West Virginia absolutely has a chance in this game if it will come out and play. This isn't Baylor from last year, and the numbers seem to back that up. So we've talked so much about schedule and continue to talk about schedule. Can West Virginia get a bump from having played a really difficult schedule to this point with some teams that are having elite seasons so far? We'll find out Thursday.
Very nice. Very well done. Very well done. Be careful on this quarterback, Blake Shapen. He won that job because he ended last season with just this massive exclamation point, right? Bohannon gets hurt. He goes in Big 12 championship game and directs them to a victory over Oklahoma State, completes his first 17 passes in that game. He's named the most outstanding player in the Big 12 championship game. So the fact that he won the job is, yeah, okay, I can understand that. And plays with a lot of, what's that word? Moxie. We haven't used moxie lately.
No.
He got that it. He got moxie. So you better come and ball. That's all.
Okay.
You better bring it. You better bring it. Otherwise,
He hasn't made a ton of mistakes. He's done a
Right.
very good job of playing within their offense. But you know what they have done, as well as West Virginia? They've been plagued by drops. They have 10 this season already from receivers.
10 all season? 10 all season? I'll take 10.
Well,
I'd take 10.
if you're averaging a couple drops per game, keep an eye on that. Yeah. You've seen West Virginia's drops come up at big moments. It'd be nice if that favor was returned and on the road in a key third down or a wide open tight end in the end zone. They like to throw to Sims, right? Leading receiver on the team. It'd be nice if one of those guys would give one back and drop one for you.
Well, I mean,
you're due
look,
for some regression in the way those things kind of balance themselves out.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to plan for those things, but what you've seen from West Virginia so far, and in these evenly matched games, you're going to need a couple things.
Yeah.
You're going to need some breaks like that,
It
right?
is.
You're going to need
Correct.
a couple things to go your way.
You don't do it. You need them to do it.
Yeah, you need them. You need them to screw up some things.
Watch out. Their tight end, as you said, Ben Sims, does lead the team in receptions, which is very odd for a tight end to lead the team in catches. He wears number 8, which is an
Also
atypical number for a tight end. Last year, he caught 2 touchdowns against West Virginia. So you got him and Gavin Holmes, another tight end. So they'll go a lot of double tight end stuff. You ready?
Yep.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
That song's been around a while now. And every time I hear it, I still like it more.
This song or the original
Textual
song?
healing. I like it. Every time we turn it on during the show, like it doesn't make me go like, okay, this thing's had its run. It's kind of like one of those classics. I mean, it's a standard, like Happy Birthday.
No, it's well done. It's
Extremely well done. Shame he was a one-hit wonder. So, unintentionally had a textual healing session break out yesterday in the entry at Aldi's supermarket.
I thought you were a Kroger guy.
Go both. Go both.
Okay.
Few items that I like at Aldi's. So I walk in, and longtime buddy of mine, Roger Fox, used to be the manager out there at the Lowe's when the Lowe's over there was the new Lowe's. Anyway, so I see him. And Roger's like, my age, maybe in my age range. And he said, man, I love Three Guys. Right? So I said, well, I appreciate that. I listen to you guys. And he said, hey, are you in your window right now to eat? Because he knows, right? So, I mean, he's a P1 listener. And then while I'm talking to him, here comes Vish Gautam, who's a massive listener to the podcast. I said, hey, Roger, there's another Three Guys listener right there. But it shows the demographic stretch that we have. I mean, Roger's hair is getting gray, and Vish just a young pup. I mean, Vish ain't 33, 32, 33, whatever he is, years old. I don't know how old he is. And but there they were, right in there in Aldi's, like two, Three Guys listeners. I mean,
Right in the Aldi's.
what more do you want?
Do you have a little mini Three Guys, like one guy? Did you do a one guy real quick?
Nah, I didn't get anything.
All right.
I'm more concerned where the heck the Granny Smith apples were. Meanwhile, checking in from Lake Wiley, South Carolina, is Wes. This was going back to our show that Hoppy wouldn't eat any cookies before he would have a meal. Wes says, I just pounded 2 donuts on my way home to eat dinner with my wife.
Excellent. Who is that?
Wes.
Wes. Good job, Wes.
Wes, you're our kind of guy.
Yeah.
Texter says, good day.
Follow-up question. Did he tell his wife, I'm not that hungry because I pounded 2
No.
donuts on the way home? Or did he just pound dinner
Probably
and not
computer.
mention the donuts?
No, I would imagine that Wes went in and pretended he like the only thing that was giving him away to his wife was the confectionery sugar under his nose. Honey, what? Texter says, good day, gentlemen. Chris from out in Western Ohio by the way of St. Mary's. Listen to every episode, and your side subjects are just as good as the sports ones. Rough question, though, about WVU and their academics. I know, way off topic. Why are our academics always ranked low? I always thought we had a very good academic school. I know we're not Ivy League, but we are always ranked so low.
You mean the school?
Yes, WV.
Probably the biggest reason is that that you can get into West Virginia. Okay, that if you're a West Virginia high school graduate, you can go to WVU. So frankly, that brings down the academic numbers a little bit, but also, as I've said many, many times, I think it's a wonderful thing because it's the state's leading land-grant institution. There are 2 land-grant institutions, and it says we're going to educate students from West Virginia. So to me, that's far more important than what your academic standard is. And if you get into West Virginia, you come to West Virginia, you have many, many options, and the quality of education you get is dependent upon how well you apply yourself. So don't worry about this. Don't worry about the standing.
I couldn't say it better than that. Colleges are built with certain missions, and West Virginia's mission is to educate the people of the state of West Virginia. One of those things, obviously, people come from all over the world, literally, to go to school here. We need make no apology for
Absolutely not.
West Virginia, and its mission is a state land-grant institution. It is to educate West Virginians. Many of those are first-generation college students.
Exactly.
That is the mission. And you've got your private schools who want to do that. That's fine too. But we make no apologies for who and what we do and what we are, and setting people and giving them opportunities. So yeah, it's just classic.
If you say at West Virginia, you're from West Virginia, you want to go to college here, you can go. Compare that with a school that says, I'm sorry, you are not at an academic level that we want you at this school. Where would you rather be? I would rather be at West Virginia.
You can do whatever you want if you go to WVU. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do forward, it's up to you. Ted from Colorado, I would argue that there's a division within the Power Five that is separate. There are about 10 teams that separate themselves from the rest. I would divide teams as follows: Elite Power Five, then Power Five, then Group of Five, and every other team. There are only about 10 to 12 teams that figure into the playoff picture as it's currently constructed. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I generally agree.
Yeah.
There's only about 5 or 6 teams today you would think has a chance to win the national championship.
I would agree, Ted, but I don't think you're asking for literally separate them, because that would never, ever, ever happen. But yeah, there is certainly a super high division.
But I'll opine about that too, is that there's so much emphasis, and rightfully so, who's going to win the national championship, who's in the Final Four. But you know what? Every week, Brad, there's great games. You like college football? Great games. Watch it all weekend.
Agree.
Chris in the coal fields, I got to admit, that title to the last episode had me muttering under my breath as soon as I read it. Son of a, who's leaving now? Thankfully, no one is leaving for now anyway. That's all just wanting to point out how misleading the title was for me anyway. Since I've taken the time to type this text out and haven't really had anything relevant to say, I'd like to ask each of you a question. If you could recommend one book to read, what would it be? Doesn't have to be sports related or even nonfiction. Looking for a good read that I'm interested in, what you 3 gents would recommend. Hoppy, you would be more of the book. Both you guys are big-time book readers.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. One of my favorites. I would say go to Brad first. Let me think.
I'm a no-doubter. Anything by Nelson DeMille.
Excuse me?
Nelson DeMille.
Who's he play for?
Got a bunch of different, it's a whole series of things. You can
spell
follow
that last name?
D-E, capital M-I-L-L-E. Nelson DeMille.
Nelson DeMille.
Anything by him.
Sure.
I would say Into Thin Air. I've read that several times about the attempt to climb Mount Everest, and it goes south. Is it John K-R-U-C-K, Krakauer? John Krakauer? Is that right?
You probably gave him enough to do a Google search there. You gave him enough.
Into Thin Air.
What book, man? I didn't have a good enough time to think about that. What book? I'll pass. Sean in Washington State. Hooks, Scopes, Subdelegator. I was at the Texas game, and it's worth reflecting on its preparation for Baylor. West Virginia called passing plays 18 of its first 26 snaps. The lack of balance played away from West Virginia's strengths to assist in the game quickly getting out of hand. Run the ball and get ahead of the chains to help JT and our receivers out. Thank you, Sean in Washington State.
Brad, what was the weakness on the part of Texas?
Well, you were going to have to throw it to beat them. So that's the thing. I mean, Sean, the one thing you say there, run the ball and get ahead of the chains to help JT and the receivers out, as we just outlined, agree with you. But that means you can run the ball and get ahead of the chains. It wasn't like it was a choice. You weren't having success moving them. I think that's what you have to watch this week. I mean, you may have to do that again. You're going to have to put the ball in the hands of your quarterback and receivers if you can't run it. That's part of why I would say, if you go back and ask Neil why they run it on 18, 26 times, or ask Graham Harrell, that's why they couldn't move guys up front.
Right. So here's the controversy now.
By the way, neither could Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma couldn't do much.
Couldn't do anything.
So here's the controversy. Burdett Camping, going into this past weekend, their contest was this. Whoever sends a picture to our text line from the WVU Baylor volleyball match that took place at the Coliseum Saturday would win a beautiful insulated thermal backpack that we autographed. That's the prize, like well over $100.
You said it first. You said first, right?
What did I say?
Yeah, just whoever sent.
Whoever sent the picture to us first. Whatever one showed up on our text feed first.
Right.
So I'm going through them this morning. All good? Oh, yeah, we did that contest. Click on some pictures. Taylor, you show the pictures of the volleyball people, the lady. Okay, she sends this picture here. Next one, please. She sends a little face. She kind of photobombed her volleyball thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Next one.
Yeah.
Ew. Kind of like looking at the camera like, hey, I won already, all right? So I go like, cool. 12:18 p.m., first one in. And great. So I send her a note. Congratulations, you're the winner. Give me your email. We'll send you the stuff, da-da-da-da-da. Fine. So I keep crawling up. These all come in chronologically. Well, guess what happens? Mike in Parkersburg, West Virginia.
Uh-oh.
His text didn't get, he sent it at 12:06 actually, got it at 12:06. But it came later than the one that came first that was 12:18. You following me? So the first one we received was the 12:18. The 12:05 was sent earlier, but we didn't receive it earlier.
How can you see that it was sent earlier?
It's time-stamped. It said 12:05. In other words, wherever it went, off the satellite cell dishes of the world, it didn't show up in our feed until after the one that had come in from 12:18.
And yet it was still time-stamped earlier, even though it didn't get in our text inbox?
Yes. But what was our rule? The first one that shows up.
Well,
Here's the good news.
Okay.
Here's my settlement. Here's my settlement. You remember he sent two, right?
Yeah.
I think as a cut Solomon's baby in half here, I think we asked Phil over at Burdett if he could send one to each, because I already told the 12:18, hey, awesome, you're a winner. And then you got Mike, who basically stalked the joint. He brought his middle school volleyball team. They were there, basically waited in the parking lot, he says, with middle school team until the doors were open. Then they just stormed it. Lucky security didn't get pulled over. He wanted it. Thanks for your consideration and all the great.
Got to get one to each.
He wrote to me and said, my wife pointed out that I didn't send my information. She also made fun of me for thinking just because I know who you guys are and have your text line that I would assume you guys had my name and number. This shows the bond that you all create through your art. So do you think Phil will give the one?
I think so. You know what's interesting is our winner sat about 5 rows in front of me based on that.
Did you go?
Yeah, I was there.
Did you text?
Huh? I did not. I did take a picture, and I did think about texting it. I literally had it up to text. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that because I figured he'd be checking it.
So
she
like
was right. She was right.
Who won?
Not West Virginia.
Yeah.
Baylor was pretty good in volleyball. Yeah.
So great promotion by Burdett. We'll take care of both people, we hope. Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty RV dealer, last forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. Burdettcamping.com. But you can understand.
Brad was there.
I don't doubt that.
We're too far up from where our winner was.
So do you understand my point from earlier on in the show? Or it's awesome. Where I said, like, just try to run one contest and then you get hit with this.
Well, but it's resolvable. You fixed it.
If Phil will send the other one. I mean, I don't know if he's ready to do two.
If not, I think each of us would chip in an amount to buy
Yes, you would.
the other one.
Hey, Senator, do you have another promotion for this week?
Yeah, now you got to pay attention. You ready?
Oh, just another head herder. Okay, go ahead.
This is creative, though. I like this. This one's on the kicking game this week, Thursday against Baylor. West Virginia's kicking game. You ready? For every field goal made, you get 3 times the yardage as a discount. So if Casey Legg comes out and makes a 30-yard field goal, that's $90.
Okay.
If he comes out and hits another 30-yarder, that's another $90.
These are all West Virginia kicks.
West Virginia kicks. So you get 30, or every yardage times 3.
That's a really good one.
Plus, every extra point is worth an additional $50.
I love it.
Wow.
That could be big.
Write that down.
That could be big.
So
Could
it's
be.
3 times the yardage plus 50 for extra points.
Yeah, 3 times, and that adds up. That's cumulative. So
Yeah.
each field goal counts as a separate entry.
That's
Okay.
really
So if
good.
he kicks 3 field goals, you add up the total yardage. And if there's an extra point thrown in, you get
But
another
that's
50.
only West Virginia.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Somebody get in touch with Casey.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I like that one.
Texter, Dare 3 guys, I need voices of reason. Steelers fan here, Mountaineers fan not longer working for me. It's one thing for a player from Pitt being a running back or any other position, but being the guy behind center, I can't do it. Talking about Kenny Pickett. It's like I'm cheering for Pitt. Guess I'll have to find another team to cheer for until this experiment's over. People up here think I'm overreacting. I live near Pittsburgh, but they just don't get it. Help.
Well, he didn't need help yesterday.
That long afternoon there.
Long afternoon as the Bills.
Black and gold.
Hey, did you see they had a 98-yard?
First series.
For a touchdown.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis, formerly of UCF,
Did we do his bowl game?
Nice Gabe Davis.
did, but he sat out.
Yeah.
Did you see was he the one that made the catch? And the defender
that
had
was-
it, and then he got it back.
I think that was Diggs, maybe, but I don't know that for sure.
That was great catches yesterday.
Texter, thanks. I appreciate the heads up. Oh, wait a second. Okay, you guys ready? About 9 years ago, moved to the east side of Rochester, New York. I have a vision disability and I don't drive a car, so I was going to be taking the bus into the city for work. The first day I went to catch the bus, I was wearing my Flying WV polo. The bus pulls up, doors open, and the driver looks at me and says, West Virginia Mountaineers. And I said, yes, I am. Turns out he grew up in Clarksburg.
Of course he did.
Left West Virginia in his early 20s. Said he was a big Hugs fan. Loved Nathan Adrian. We talked West Virginia sports all the way into downtown Rochester. That day was the last for him on that route.
Huh.
He made a special stop, dropped me off right in front of my building instead of at the bus stop, which was a half a mile away. The odds that we crossed paths on his last day and my first day on the route must be astronomical. Awesome story.
Except that it's astronomical, except that West Virginians are everywhere and always connected.
Causation, correlation, Hoppy.
It's
Anecdotal?
not a causation. It's anecdotal, but it's powerful. It's a powerful thing that happens out there.
Good one here. Hey, guys, Brian from Williamstown. I don't have a question, but I do have a thank you. My wife has been in the hospital since Tuesday of last week after having emergency surgery. It's been great to have a laugh here and there, listening to all you bickering with each other and just the general back and forth you have. I was dying laughing at your West Virginia scenic places talks. It was a nice change of emotion for me to take my mind off of things, so thank you for all you do, not just for WVU, but for all of us brothers and sisters of West Virginia. It means so much more to us than you know. Thanks again. Also, don't forget 2 of my favorite places, Dolly Sods and the Long Point overlooking the New River Gorge. I've attached. There he is. Pictures of both. Such a beautiful state we live in. Thank you again, gentlemen. I certainly hope that your wife is doing well and everything is going well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
People attaching pictures to the text is a great new development in this podcast.
Yes, it is. Good to see the people.
Just fantastic. Just
Well done.
fantastic.
Now providing medical care, helping people on
We
different
just-
levels.
We just try to be a help any way we can. Hop at Kirchhoff. Listen, Metro News Talk Line. Saw him last night on video stream. Picture of health. So this is the end of our show. We are so sorry that we have to go.
Brad's got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, but then we haven't had the meeting about.
Oh, yeah, let's have the meeting. Go ahead.
Just do it right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
You-
Sun-
they
What
can-
are
people-
we meeting on?
Friday's show.
People can see how our process works.
Friday's
Like
show.
peek behind the curtain.
This will be good. Friday show.
Meeting will come to order.
I'm out unless we record early in the morning.
Why are you out? Why are
or,
you out?
or you can do it,
He's just ignoring me.
or you can do it regular time with Stoney McSimpson over there. So our boy says he could go at 7:30.
Well,
We'll discuss.
I think people want a closure to this.
Well, they won't get it. I mean, they're not getting it here.
So, Hoppy, I'm
Yes, sir.
glad you said how people are going to be able to see how these meetings go. So there it was. That's, right there.
so well, you didn't answer why you can't be here.
I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. I have to be in Pittsburgh like by 10 a.m. Friday morning.
By 10?
Yeah.
Can we record? You don't want to record it in the afternoon?
I'm gone. I'm off. It's a personal day. I'm not working.
What do you mean you're not working?
Here, watch my mouth. Watch the lips.
Okay.
I'm not working. It's a day off. I'm taking
It's a day off. We have to record 3 guys.
Yes, you do. I can do it 7-ish, or I can't do it at all. You don't have to have me. You can do it with
yes,
him.
it's 3 guys.
No, there's been episodes when you used to go run down there to lawmakers down there in Charleston, go away for 4 or 5 months at a time, didn't know where Hoppy was. It was 2 guys. We'll figure it out. Here's the deal, folks. There's going to be a 3 guys on Friday. Might
Well,
be
it
with
has to
2,
be.
might be with 3, but that's it. That's all.
Brad's
He's had a bad show. His microphone all of a sudden was just
that's
running
that-
away from the start of the show. Now I hit him with this news. He hasn't been briefed on this. It's
Brad,
a
what do
struggle.
we say? What do we say, Brad?
Don't make it harder.
Exactly.
Play the next play. We're back on Friday. Thanks for being with us. 3 guys before the day.
Oh, your alarm goes off.
Yeah, 3 guys before the game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Conica Minolta dealer.
You mean you're off all day Friday? You're not coming to work Friday.
Let me direct this to the camera. Taylor, take this. Do you hear how he's talking to me? This has been the story of his life since I've been here in this company for 39. I'm on my 39th year now. This frickin' guy cannot frickin' understand that sometimes people take personal days. Now, they give you the personal days. They give you, 5 a year? Is that what it is? 5 personal days. God forbid you would ever use one. Because cowboy dairy farmer over there, well, hell, you got to get up and milk them every day. Ain't no days off.
So
What part of that don't you understand?
So
you know
just-
what? I'm going to make a
just
call
to be-
right now. No. I'm
just to be
making,
clear,
no,
you're
no,
not
no,
going
no.
to be here Friday.
I'm going to make a call right now. Guess what?
What?
I'm not doing 3 guys.
Oh.
It's going to record at noon. No, it's going to record
Aw.
at noon. I was good enough, right? I was being cool. I'll come in at 7 after getting in bed, whatever time. It's going to be these guys on Friday. Our boys got to learn a lesson. 3 guys.
I don't want to hurt your
Over and
feelings.
out. See ya.